Hello and welcome to Frank's School. Something I wanted to say about my comment yesterday. Later I will give you a recommended route to take through Switzerland if you're a new traveler to Switzerland. But what I said about how you would get to Ausserberg, I should point out that you can do it in one day. If you skip Geneva, if you would land in Geneva, you'd get there maybe at 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. Get a Swiss pass, get on the train right away. You could very easily be at Ausserberg that evening, that night. So one day from Washington or New York or Chicago, in one day you could be at Ausserberg. All right, in the video that you're going to see, I mentioned that there is a path that you could walk along by where the train goes on the Südrampe. The Südrampe is that train route. It's a ramp. It's the south ramp that climbs to where it goes through the tunnel. Why walk it? Well, I've never done it, but what I would like to do is get underneath those rail bridges with those miraculous, or I think beautiful, stone arches. The ones that you can see if you drive a car up the Rhone Valley and you look off to the left, you can see so many of them. The first time I made that drive, I was just amazed by them. Well, you could walk, that's one reason. Someday maybe I'll do that. Now, after my groan pause, as I'm filming, I make a really funny groan. And it's because I'm trying so hard to catch something as the train goes along. Well, if you'll hear that really funny sounding groan, and if you immediately pause, hit the pause button, you'll see what I was looking for. It's the evidence of abyss on really a cliffside just before the train goes into the tunnel. You can see it. It's right about in the middle of the screen. If you pause right, if you can develop the eye for it, you'll see a line going along that cliff that is not natural. So it is there. And the only thing I can tell you is you'll have to hear that funny pause, groan, pause, and then there you can maybe see it. Now, coming out on the north side, going down the north ramp, the north ramp, I talk about how the train does a corkscrew, a spiral inside the mountain. And I talk about that a good bit. Well, and I say the most famous one, I think, is the one in the Gotthard Pass near Wassen. I talk about that. But you should also see the Rhaetian Railway online. If you Google that and look at images, this is in Graubünden. That's the part of Switzerland that is least known. They speak Rhaeto-Romanish there. It's also known as the Grizel or the Grizel. This may not be right. It's got another name. But anyway, my wife and I, Jane, we made that trip once. It's part of what's called the Glacier Express. And if you take it the whole way into Italy, you'll go through the Graubünden. And there's one place where the train comes out into a valley and does a spiral in the valley and goes under itself in a bridge, under a bridge, to go down, to get lower and lower. Of course, a train can only go so steep without a rack underneath it, which relates actually to kilocalories as currency. There's something to be said about trains that way. But anyway, that's worth looking at. And I didn't mention it. Now, as we come down and go along the lake, we go past Interlaken, very, very famous. But I didn't do any filming of Interlaken because this trip is not about cities. It's about the land. Well, I had originally thought that I would stop there because I wanted to go up another route to see the Staubach Falls at Lauterbrunnen. These, I believe, are the highest waterfalls in Europe. And they're beautiful, I'm sure. Someday I'll see them probably. And Lauterbrunnen, that translates as loud spring. Sometimes I think that Tolkien, the loud water, one of the names of one of his streams is called the Loudwater, Lauterbrunnen. I'm sure Tolkien knew Switzerland. And I also wanted to see the north face of the Eiger. But Pierre, and Daniel had both advised me that Ballenberg was something I should see. I accepted their advice, and I am very glad that I did. So Stabach Falls and the Eiger, they remain for me some other time. I guess, well, one other thing I'll say is this is so English, this part of Switzerland. The English loved Switzerland because of the Romantic era and more. And Sherlock Holmes is one of the reasons I mention this. If we had continued along the train, along the two, Interlaken means between lakes, there's two lakes there. And if we had continued along the eastern lake, up to a place called Madigan, I've been there. There we could have gone to see the Reichenbach Falls. That's the falls that Sherlock Holmes fell to his death from, supposedly, in the final solution, final problem. That I've not seen the newest Sherlock Holmes movie, but I want to. It deals with it. But my son saw it, and he tells me it makes it all fantastic. Well, a year or two ago, the last time I took students to Europe on my own, I went to Madigan, and I wanted to see the Reichenbach Falls, and I actually got lost on the side of that mountain because I wanted to walk up instead of take the funicular up to it. But anyway, that's kind of another story. But I mention this because it fits in with that English love of Switzerland. The idea that Sherlock Holmes would have been there, that the English would have loved to read about that. Okay, and I guess that'll probably do it for today. I'm probably forgetting something, but I'll see you next time.